Welcome back to the Business Spotlight podcast here with Action Coach Northwest. I am your host, Lauren, and today we have Rob Martinson of Limelyte here to chat all things business. Hello, Rob. So I'm going to kick things off with my personal favorite question. Tell me how your business began.
I have my hands in a couple different businesses, but for today, I think we're talking about Limelyte Technology Group. So Limelyte's a software development shop here in Spokane that I started back in '99. I am a high school dropout, decided to kind of go a different direction. I had an associate's degree in automotive technology in the mid 1990s from Spokane Community College. So I went to school to work on cars. I loved cars, kind of went that path. At the same time, I just had a deep interest in software development, learning all the computer stuff. It was early days of internet, and ended up getting a job working for another software company based out of Chicago doing web development. So this is about 1996, give or take. And I kind of went down that path, buried myself in software dev. I love learning. It's like my favorite thing to learn new things. And it's just constant. I'm a little bit scatterbrained. I focus on something over here. I have a million hobbies. I do all this kind of stuff. I always wanted to run my own business. I never really understood why. It wasn't like a conscious decision that I'm going to do this. I just felt like I could do it myself. And I was very excited to do that. So because I started way before I ever had a family or anything, I, kind of got used to the feast or famine. I'd do a little bit of a job. I started doing some consulting work and sort of broke out on my own in 1999 and had one large client that I worked for that entire year. And then had no clients, and then kind of went back and forth, and this kind of the consulting way of life. It took a little bit to kind of get that figured out. It took a long time to get that figured out, but that's kind of how it started. I just started doing things on my own and doing consulting, and then gradually sort of built up a name for myself. Worked for a lot of businesses here in Spokane, focused on a couple of different specific verticals in the software development industry. So, we worked on pre-employment and pre-tenancy integrations with credit and criminal bureaus for pulling evictions and credit and criminal reports for like I said, pre-employment, pre-tenancy. So I kind of went down that path and became known for having sort of a knowledge base in that area. Things changed hands and kind of went to other folks, and we got some traffic that way. So that was early days. So that's kind of how it started.
Wow, that's so interesting. Congratulations on making it this long and this far, and that's incredible. So thinking back to those early days, if you had to start from square one in business, what would you do differently?
Personally, like I said, I was all self-taught, and I tried to get as much information as possible from those around me, but I feel like each one of us as business owners, there are a lot of the same components in business regardless of what you're doing. A lot of commonalities. I wish I would have found peers earlier. Business coaching, I think, is probably a very valuable thing to have. If I was to go back and start from square one, personally, I probably wouldn't do it any differently because I wouldn't have known any better. But if I knew then what I know now, I think having more of an understanding of what the requirements are, if I was going to do it again and I knew everything now, I'd probably try to get a little bit more of a structure behind that to get going, because it definitely pays off later.
No, that's definitely very important and something we're always talking about here at Action Coach. So you kind of touched on it a little bit, but what have been your biggest learnings as an employer since you began in business?
As an employer, there are lots and lots and lots of different personalities and lots of different needs and wants between different people. So when you're working with staff and different team members, you're trying to build a team, different things motivate everybody in a different way. You have to try to figure out what those are and be understanding of all the different things. So you might go into it early on and think you understand that, well, people are only interested in, they want a solid 9 to 5 and they want an awesome environment and they just want a paycheck that shows up on time. First off, create an environment that fits with the group that you're trying to put together, and make sure you're handling comp and make sure you have you benefits that are good for everybody so they can survive and be happy and that kind of a thing, and growth potential. And for me, it's just the variety of different personalities and wants and needs that everybody has. It's just it's endless, and every new person that you bring onto the team, something else is more important to them and less important to someone else. So just kind of juggling those things.
Yeah, it sounds challenging, but also fun in a way. All right, so going off of all of that, what are some common misconceptions about running a business, and how do you address them?
Well, I think it may not be a fit for everyone, but I think it's a valuable life lesson to go down the path and understand the different things. Many people think you might have team members that think running the business part is the easy part. You're the guy or gal that's kind of pointing arrows and telling people where to go, and that part's easy. The stress load is very different. So it can be very stressful. which is difficult. You are ultimately the person that you're responsible for all the people in your organization. You are kind of the buck stops here for your customers, whatever, in whatever. There's a misconception from that side, but on the other side of it, I think it's valuable for people to see both sides. So I'm a big fan of people having their own business in some capacity. You start off as a sole proprietor and maybe you're selling things on eBay or maybe whatever you happen to be doing, but it lets you understand some of that balance. And I think it makes you better both as a team member if you're working for someone else, but also as a leader if you decide that's your fit and you want to go that way. I think everybody should take that opportunity to kind of figure that out and see if it's something for them. It can be stressful, it can be super rewarding, kind of goes all directions.
No, that's so true and a really good perspective because I feel like a lot of people are like, don't become an entrepreneur. I have my own business outside of Action Coach too. And so it's encouraging to hear that it's a thing to do.
Yeah, it's good for you.
So you've made it quite a while and you've got a great team. You've got to meet one of your employees. What do you attribute your growth to?
Well, so we're, like I said, I'm involved with a handful of different businesses, but talking about Limelyte here, the consulting side. On the consulting side of things, I think growth, I never did a lot of marketing. Mostly all of our clients were sort of handshake in a hallway. You build up a name for yourself. You try to work with as much integrity as you possibly can, try to do your best on behalf of clients. Also sometimes have to hold a line on certain decisions. It goes both directions. So you have to sort of walk that wire of what's best for us and what's best for the client and try to find the middle ground for all those things, as you're moving forward. And sometimes things turn out awesome and sometimes they're difficult. I think growth for us has been really trying to do your best, being a good problem solver for the client and letting them be your marketing your marketing team. For us, that's worked really well. I know there are different paths for different business types. If you're selling widgets, whatever they are, marketing is totally different than my type of marketing. As long as you have a good widget and you can supply it and it's the right price, then you're in a good place. For consulting, you have to be the guy or gal that solves the problem. I think that's probably it.
Now, this is always a fun one. How do you balance your personal life with the demands of running a business?
Well, I guess you have to. Early on, I don't know when early on, it's different for everybody. So I've been, Limelyte's been around this is our 26th year.
Congrats.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Thank you. Balance is always, it's feast or famine. You go through highs and lows. You go through periods of, you're making good money and things are efficient and things are really working well and they're low stress and everybody's happy. And then you go through periods where some part of the market changes or your product changes or whatever, and so you're up and down. So you have to be able to balance that part and be able to balance that. So I started that process before I had family, so I kind of got used to that, and it was okay, and it didn't stress me out too much. Like I kind of have become used to that. That's just the reality of things. Balancing personal life, it's super important for me to make sure that you force time for yourself. There are windows of time where, I will get hyper focused on something that's business related and I seem to bury myself for a month or 2 months and I'm just like this. But I think it's super important to make sure that you have some time to decompress because you can burn out, going down that path. So my wife and I, we have 4 teenagers in the house right now. So,
oh my goodness.
So there's always a juggle. You need to make time for family and make time, make sure you're there at the dinner table if you can be, and prioritize that along with your business at the same time, and make sure that your team has that opportunity as well. Again, this is one business. There's 2 others that kind of get juggled in there as well. So, but I think forcing yourself to take time for the personal side of things, having a couple of hobbies, making time for those and making sure that you do that, understanding that sometimes it's crunch time and you just got to hammer down. So you got to learn how to balance those 2 things, which for me has just been a window of time to learn what the balance is. And I don't know that we ever get it perfect, but it works.
I think it's always evolving. And then just out of curiosity, what are your other 2 businesses?
I have another software as a service business that I'm involved with that I'm a 30% owner of that's called Property Sync Software Systems, which is a online platform for title plants that Limelyte developed early on, and then we sort of branched off and it made its own team. So I have a great group of partners in that business. So it's for the title insurance industry. It's a platform specific to the title insurance industry. That one's pretty busy and does really well. It has a team of, I think we have a staff of 9 on that side. And then we have another business called the Connecting Link, which is an online learning platform for professional development for K through 16 teachers. And that was an existing business that via Limelyte and consulting at Limelyte, I became involved with and kind of helped some of the previous owners, and then had an opportunity to kind of buy into it and purchase it outright from the previous owners. It wasn't a primary focus for them, and we have a team of 6 on that side. So another small one, but there's a couple different ones out there. I'm a little scatterbrained. It's like every once in a while, it's like, I want to go try something different kind of deal. But I always tend to end up in the technology industry somehow. So
I have my own personal brand of like influencer content creation, and then I've done like event planning and stuff, and you just get so excited by so many things. And
yeah.
Okay, well, you have a lot of employees, it sounds like. What qualities do you look for in employees, and how do you foster a positive and productive work environment?
For us, team fit, so really it's across all of them. So in that environment, we have software developers, we have a couple of people that do customer care, and we've got some admin folks on the team, and it's super important that we all work well. It's a fairly youthful group, and I like a casual environment. I'm super sarcastic, and I like that in the group. There's things that, jokes that you hear in the hallway that probably shouldn't be said in the hallway, but it just kind of, some of that rolls out. But I like people feeling comfortable, and I like it to be a casual work environment as much as possible, because for me, that's where I want to be, and that's what's comfortable to me. I don't want to be kind of stuck in a place that feels like you're forced a certain direction. So when we look for staff, we look for, first off, people that are a team fit or can be a team fit. If we're hiring somebody like a developer, a software developer, actually anybody that's in there is we look for problem solvers first, people that can learn on their own, figure out a problem, and sort of the advice that I give to anybody that comes onto the team is, be the person that can get stuff done, the problem solver, not the problem finder. It's great to have folks that can go identify issues that need to be resolved, and that's one part of it. But I've had, run into over the course of the last couple decades, people that were, whether they're with clients or potential team members or whatever it happens to be, people that are more focused on there being an issue and sort of bringing up roadblocks instead of figuring out how to knock those roadblocks down. There's always going to be issues with the path, whether it's the relationship with the client or billing issues or whatever solution you're building. There's always going to be some problem that you have to solve, and finding people that can find paths. It doesn't have to be the perfect path every time, but find a path to ground. Those are the most valuable people. So people that can, solve problems, and people that can self-train. Give them a task or something to figure out, and they go kind of do their absolute best to get whatever information they can to kind of learn that, and then come back for feedback. So that's kind of what we look for.
That's so cool. All right, looking ahead, where do you see yourself in 5 years, and any words of advice for other business owners looking to grow their business?
See myself in 5 years. I don't know that I'll ever retire. I wish I could. Or sometimes I wish I could, but I'm too scatterbrained by things. I've too many things going. 5 years, I would like to figure out some sort of succession plan for some of these businesses, like how they move forward. And, consulting is difficult. Consulting is not a business that you can bundle up and say, here you go, next owner, I'm just going to sell it off to you. You have to find the right person or the right partner or the right whatever. And we've got some team members that are long-term, that are great, that I think are good potential there, but really kind of figuring out succession plans for some of the businesses, what happens next, figuring out, do I exist there forever? How do I get out of it? Or how do I transfer some of these duties to someone else so that I can spend more time, playing in my shop or whatever I decide I want to do. So those things are important to me. And I'd like to get that sorted out in the next 5 years, at least kind of start the process and have some understanding there, come up with a plan. What advice would I give to I think there are a lot of people that are way smarter than I am. I'm not traditionally taught. I just figured out a way that worked, and it's the way that I learned myself. And a lot of it is inefficient and not the greatest. And every single day you're trying to improve on it and make it a little bit better. Recommendation for other people is find somebody to connect to and suck up as much information as you can. Find a peer group, find other people that are in the same industry that you're in, or that are just your neighbor that are doing things, and you can bat things back and forth, find a group that you can hang out with once a week or once a month and just throw ideas out there. And I think that would definitely be a recommendation, because you get really good information. Tons of people have done this process before you. Millions of people have started businesses and ran them and do very, very well. And you're going to have a skill set that maybe is great for you, but there's a million ideas that you haven't thought of and you won't be able to. So suck up as much information as you can from other folks.
I love that. Well, cool. And then my last question is, what question should I be asking you that I haven't yet?
Oh, geez. I don't know if I have a good idea here. What question should you be asking me that you haven't yet? I don't know. If I had a window of time to process that, I could probably come up with something. I can't think of anything specific offhand that you should ask me. This is a good set of questions. This is great. I mean, understanding goals for business are great. I think how do people make the decision to make a jump, I think, is always interesting to me. I think at what point, I think many people start off their career, they have a regular job doing whatever, whether it's something they love or something they don't or whatever, they have a regular job. And when and how they decide to make the jump to kind of go to the next step, I think is an interesting, like what pushes you over the edge? What's the motivation for kind of getting there? I think is an interesting thing, because you get different answers from different people. Same as I was talking about with finding team members. It's like, is your motivation financial? I just want to be able to do myself. I want my own schedule. I want to be able to work from home. I want to be able to whatever. Those are interesting questions. So I think that'd be a good one.
Nice. I like it. Well, thank you so much, Rob. And to all of our listeners, make sure to check out Limelyte below and come back for more of our business spotlights.